Strap in, because this is the first in a three-part series where we take a deep dive into Section 9 of the OGL, which specifically deals with updating the OGL. We're going to get to understand this section in great detail and see if it does give us the out that some people are looking for if Wizards were just to post an update of the OGL that's exactly the same, except for contains the word irrevocable. Let's jump in. In a recently released video, I explained why I did not think it's possible that this problem can be fixed or go away simply by Wizards of the Coast releasing a new edition or new version, let's call it version 2.0 of the OGL, that is exactly the same as version 1.0a, except for it adds the word irrevocable, as some people in the community have suggested. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can go right over here and go through the entire argument. And it outlines why I believe that a new edition of the OGL with this word irrevocable is not what we need. We must have Wizards of the Coast acknowledge that 1.0a as it stands is both irrevocable and cannot be deauthorized. I have, however, been challenged on this by people in the comments, which is fantastic. I love feedback. Could I be wrong? Could I have missed something? Absolutely, I could have. Specifically, I've been pointed to Section 9 of the OGL, which should allow exactly this situation to occur. That if Wizards of the Coast were to release version 2 exactly the same as version 1.0a with the word irrevocable, problems all solved. This position was articulated by Votastar in the comments here on YouTube. Votastar wrote, "I think WotC needs to actually issue OGL 1.0b, which is exactly like 1.0a, but adds the word irrevocable. They can do whatever they want with 2.0 is fine. If we don't like it, we can just safely ignore it." And then that's why I created that video about why I do not believe that. However, Brendan Weiber says, "Sorry, but you are ignoring Section 9 of the 1.0a license. Votastar is completely correct. Any book published under 1.0a can use any version of the OGL." I'm not ignoring Section 9 of the OGL. But what we should do is take a look at Section 9 of the OGL, since it's addressing this point and is relevant here, and try to understand what Section 9 of the OGL actually means, because it does deal with updating the OGL. Let's take a look. So this is the OGL, and this is Section 9 of the OGL that does specifically deal with updating the license. So everyone knew when they agreed to the terms of 1.0a, they knew that it was possible that Wizards of the Coast may write updated versions of the license and publish them on their website, and thereby authorizing them. We all knew that. But what does the effect of writing new licenses have on existing works that have been published under other licenses? Well, let's see what is going on right here with updating the license. Let's see what it says. It says Wizards or its designated agents may publish updated versions of this license. So updates, perfectly capable of doing that, no problem. Then it says you may use any authorized version of this license to copy, modify, and distribute any open game content originally distributed under any version of this license. So that means that if Wizards of the Coast has published version 1 of the license, and then they publish version 2, and maybe they publish version 3 or version 4, when you, as a publisher, are getting ready to publish your work, you get your choice of which version you would like to publish under. You can publish under any of those licenses that you would like to publish under. You do choose, as the publisher, which one of those licenses you would like to publish under. They all might have slightly different terms. Terms that for one reason are more favorable to you or that you prefer. And so that's why, if they do publish version 2, but you prefer the terms of version 1, you can just stick with version 1. You can totally publish your stuff over under a previous version. So let's say I'm Mark and I'm publishing the World of Ataltis. So I've got this material here and I decide to publish. Now there's only been one version of the OGL released. This is version 1.0a. And so I decide to use version 1.0a and I put that in the back of my book. And then I also declare, as Mark has, what parts of this book are open gaming content, which means that you can use it under the terms of the license continuing in your work. And then what of it is product identity that belongs to Mechanical Muse regarding the World of Ataltis. That's clearly articulated. So now, I publish this book under the terms of this license. Then somebody buys this book. Now Bob has bought this book, right? So now after that, after the book has already been published, it's been sold, it's now in the hands of Bob, Wizards of the Coast decides to publish version 2 of the OGL. So all of a sudden, version 2 comes out. When Bob is looking through this book, and he wants to make a new game, or a new game book based on the open content that is in this book, which was completely created by Mechanical Muse. Mechanical Muse, for instance, created new character classes and races, and some of them are available under the open game content. They said that some parts of this book you are welcome to use and even quote verbatim in your own works based on the terms of the 1.0a license. So if I'm Bob and there's stuff that I like and I would like to copy that information that's open game content over to my new work in order to release something new, I will need to accept the open gaming license. But What license do I have to accept? Now there's version 1, and now there's version 2 out as well. And so maybe Bob checks the website and looks for version 2 and says, oh, I like version 2 better. Well, this book right here has 1.0a in it. Can Bob publish his work under version 2? The answer is yes, because it says you may use any authorized version of this license to copy, modify, and distribute any open game content originally distributed under any version of this license. Mark originally distributed the open game content in here under version 1 of the license. But if version 2 is published, and then Bob, who bought this book and wants to use that content, is welcome to publish that material under version 2. That's what that means. It also means that Mark, the original publisher of this book, is also welcome to publish the material under version 2. Maybe he likes version 2. Maybe version 2 is a good thing. So there comes a time when there needs to be a new printing of this book, and this whole book is going to be reprinted because maybe they've all sold out, and he wants to reprint exactly this book to get some more on the shelves. Well, this book was originally distributed under Open Gaming License 1.0a. Does that mean that when I reprint this book, I'm required to still use 1.0a? No, I am not. I am not locked in to 1.0a. I can just swap out the license in the back of this book with version 2 and go to the printers again and use version 2 for a new printing. Now, this is very important. Now I've got 2 versions of this book out. The one that was published years ago that has 1.0a in it, that's sitting on store shelves, and it's probably sitting in a lot of people's homes and offices. Now there is this new book with version 2 out there. What does that mean for this book that has 1.0a in it? Well, nothing. It means nothing at all. This book, this content, is still licensed under 1.0a. I can look at it. I'm holding it in my hand. It has the license in the back. That means that this material, the World of Atultis Adventure Guide, would then be published under 2 different versions of the license. I'm holding in my hand the 1.0a version of the book. And then if I got a new one printed from the printer, I could be holding in my hand the same material that is also released under version 2.0a. Or 2.0, whatever it's called. That means, and again, this is so important, that this same material is under both licenses, can be accessed under both licenses. So you might ask, well, can't Mark and Mechanical Muse, the publisher of this book, just deauthorize or revoke the 1.0a license for this material? And the answer is no, they cannot. That is exactly the same argument that we're having with Wizards right now. Wizards is trying to revoke and deauthorize the 1.0a with regard to the SRD material and access to it, and they cannot do that. Likewise, Mark at Mechanical Muse cannot one day decide that he wants to revoke or deauthorize the 1.0a license with regard to the World of Atultis Adventurer's Guide, because it's in there. That license gives him no authority to revoke or deauthorize it with regard to this book. This book will forever be published on 1.0a, and the material that he has designated in it as open content for us all to use will still be available under 1.0a. And that's so important for the following reason. Because say I'm Bob, and I don't find this book until many years after, and I don't know anything about Dungeons & Dragons, and I don't know anything about the SRD, and I don't know anything about Wizards of the Coast. Well, that's no problem. If I find this book and I'm like, man, these character classes that have been released under the Open Gaming License, I really want to use them for a new book of my own. All I know is what is inside this book. I can look back here at the license, find out what part is Open Gaming content, copy that exactly, and go on with mine. I do not have to worry about, oh, there's this license in the back. I wonder if it's been revoked. I wonder if it's been deauthorized. I wonder if there was a blog post or a tweet someplace that I should look at from years ago where Mark said, hey, I'm revoking or deauthorizing the OGL 1.0 for the use in Atultis. That's never going to, you never have to worry about that because that cannot happen. That cannot happen. You can be completely disconnected from the world, find out, but have this book, know exactly what you can use in it and how it's authorized, and look at the license and continue to use it. That's part of the genius of the OGL, because you can start with the trunk, this core, and then there are branches, and you don't have to know anything else about down the trunk. As long as you're looking at one particular branch, then you're good to go. We'll start right there in the next video and talk about whether or not updating licenses causes new licenses to back propagate through Section 9 here to previously published works under other licenses.